my fellow readers, it's I, Dark Symphony 7 Simpson, with another fanfiction reading. As always, link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, and leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts on the story and future fanfiction you want me to read or review. So let's get into it. So, the story I am doing a reading of is Ponies have long been distracted the adorable denizens of Equestria, but don't let this distract you from the fact that in 1998, The Undertaker threw mankind off Hell in a Cell, and he plummeted 16 feet through the Spanish announcer's table, by short skirts and explosions. This is a long story. I wanted to get something, simple after reading Don't Even Bother, like, that story. That story. I wanted something short, simple, and stupid. And I remember this one off the top of my head. I was like thinking, like, what fan fiction should I do a reading of to like bleach my brain out of this? And it's like, wait, wasn't there like a story that ponies get like turned into Jim Ross for some reason? Like, I don't know. Like, yes, there was. I have actually read this story, and I can perfectly describe it as, this is no average, ordinary shitposting. This is, dun-dun, advanced shitposting. That's basically what this story is, advanced shitposting. So, let's get started. And if any of you have been unfortunate enough to have been in a car wreck, then you may wish to look away from this part. I have been in a car accident. I'm not going to look away. And the story is just so stupid. And so, multiple historians have since concluded Miss Cherry used the crook of her hoof, sketching an exponentially rising bar graph across the schoolroom chalkboard, making sure to mark it with a miniature skull and crossbones. Now, by the end of the hostilities, the imperialist Japonis I can't say that out loud without thinking of The Rock. If you smell what The Rock did, it's cooking. Why am I don't know why I did that. Because the story is shitposting. Of course it is. The imperialist Japoni forces were responsible for approximately 10 million more murders than the combined forces of Winnie War II's Germany. Inconvenient fact that is typically muddled today by modern equestrian economic relations. She slapped the chalk down, swiveled about, and faced the class with a bright fuchsia smile. And that includes our history lesson for today. Tomorrow we'll skip forward a bit in time and learn about the tragic dictatorship of Paul Pony and the Khmer Rouge. But before we go into scheduled assignments, any questions? One filly raised her jaundiced hoof. Any pony besides Twist? Terribly chirped. Sweetie Belle's hoof went up. Yes, Sweetie Belle. Sweetie Belle's eyes narrowed as she leaned forward into her desk. Where does Bitterly fit in all this? I heard they were involved in the war as well. That's a very good question. Cheerily trotted over to her desk and flipped through a historical textbook. Despite the epic rise of Mussolini's fascist dictatorship, the battalions were notoriously ill-equipped to engage in modern warfare, and they lost even more battles than they did in Winnie War I. She pointed towards a spot on the equestrian map. Once the equestrian invasion had reached the peninsula, Germany was already having to send in the military reinforcements. But do not let that distract you from the fact that in 1998, The Undertaker threw mankind off Hell in a Cell and he plummeted 16 feet through the Spanish announcer's table. Before I continue, I would like to mention I will be kind of going into a little detail on this whole thing at the end. Simply because it's kind of important to get the context of that for how I would rate it. Sweetie Belle blinked hard. She looked at the other students. Apple Bloom's muzzle hung agape. Diamond, Tiara, and Silver Spoon exchanged stupefied glances. Scootaloo snorted into her textbook, because of course she did. Of course she would. Miss Cherry? Sweetie Belle sat straight up. Who do you want now? Close to the end of the war, both Mariceline and his mistress were captured, shot, and then hung upside down in public. Isn't history fun? A girlish giggle, and Cherry next opened her planner. All right, class, your homework for today. The foals were left scratching their fuzzy heads as their teacher read the assignment off. I love my sweet, delicious carrot, Cupcake declared. These pony names. I truly do. Nevertheless, the mare sighed, gently rocking the baby stroller forward and backwards from where she sat on a park bench in the center of Ponyville. Pumpkin and Pound Cake were nestled within the sunlit bedding, stirring adorably in their sleep, while birds chirped and flitted about overhead. While we obviously came from separate religious upbringings, it has to be something of a struggle every now and then. But only on the most remote occasion, mind you. Roseluck glanced up from the baby sweater she was knitting. The mare sat prettily beside the plump baker. Yes, and did you fight over what was ultimately done to Pound Cake? Cupcake blew out the side of her muzzle. Don't say it like that. It's just tradition. Roseluck's eyes narrowed into granite slabs. In my book, it's mutilation. Is this like circum? Is this circumcision? Are they talking about circumcision? Because that's like the main argument I hear for like it's mutilation or it's tradition versus mutilation. Like, I'm pretty sure it's circumcision. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read the story, so I'm kind of probably forgetting some parts. I read in a magazine somewhere that young kids grow up healthier because of it. Yep, it's circumcision. The same magazine that talks about essential oils. I'm not crazy, Roseluck. It bothered me at first as well, But the same thing was done to Carrot and his father before him. Cupcake rocked her stroller and shrugged. None of them seemed worse off. You know that thing they say about robbing a stallion of pleasure? Her plump cheeks turned rosier as her eyelashes fluttered. Doesn't seem to affect my insatiable Carrot at all. Yeah, but, Roseluck waved a knitting needle in the air. What gives you and him, or any pony for that matter, the right to do such a thing to Poundcake's own body? Because they're his parents? They're his parents? That's literally it. We're not talking about an amputation or removing ribs. It still affects his entire life. How? Okay, so he doesn't get schmugma? So he has a harder time cleaning? I don't I never understood the whole circumcising versus not circumcising argument. I never really got that. Okay, why are you making such a big deal over this? Why am I going rapidly off topic in this part? I don't know why. Alright, so where was I? It still affects his entire life. Roseluck sighed, returning to her sweater, and coming across as really stuffy and judgmental. I'm sorry. It's just I'm planning to have fools myself one day, and I don't ever see myself getting pressured into doing that to one of my children just because of some weird old tradition. No matter if my spouses believe in it or not. I assure you, it's really not that weird. Cupcake smiled and unsmiled. Up until the stallion doing the procedure used his muzzle to suck away the blood. That I wasn't entirely expected. Princess Celestia on a bike. I know. Cupcake nodded, gazing off towards the distant reaches of the park. But don't let that distract you from the fact that in 1998, the Undertaker threw mankind off Hell in a Cell, and he plummeted 16 feet through the Spanish announcer's table. Roseluck's needles clattered obtusely together. She winced, squinting at Cupcake. What? Carrot said it's written that an infant is strongest on his 8th day. That's why they perform it then. She chuckled nervously, fanning herself. I wish I was that strong 8 days after foaling twins. Girl, let me tell you. Ha ha ha. Roseluck's brow furrowed. But what was that just now about an Undertaker and a mankind? Did you know that Pumpkin and Pound are both Geminis? May 22nd. Barely made it. Ha ha ha. Isn't that just incredible? Roseluck nervously hugged the incomplete sweater to her fuzzy chest, trembling noticeably. Alright! A stallion in a hard hat cupped his hooves around his muzzle, shouting up toward the metal mass of machinery on tink treads. Slow! Keep it steady! Inside the belly of a gigantic crane, the operator pushed and pulled at levers, carefully hoisting a series of steel bars up toward the upper levels of an office building being constructed in the heart of Ponyville. The top cable teetered slightly as the worker wrestled for control of the weighted materials. Might a bit windy today, he whinnied through the crane speaker system. Maybe we should wait until it dies down a bit. Ah, it's okay. You got this, the stallion shouted up at him, backtrotting and gesturing with his hooves. We're running low on company time. Gotta finish reinforcing the top floor. Am I almost clear? No, you gotta raise it higher. About 10 meters. The stallion on the ground squinted while the shadow of the steel beam passed over him and several other construction workers. A little bit higher. All right. Keep it slow and steady. Now, a little to the right. The operator licked his muzzle and pivoted as told. A little more. The heavy planks of steel inched ever closer to an unfinished floor where ponies and hardhats were reaching out to grasp the dangling materials. Good! You almost have it, the stallion on the ground smiled. Just don't forget that in 1998, the Undertaker threw mankind off Hell in a Cell and he plummeted 16 feet. What? 16 just feet. Through the Spanish announcer's table. The crane operator flinched in his booth. Wait, what? And then, after climbing back up the cell, the stallion continued bombastically, mankind was chokeslammed to the top of the cage where he and a folding chair fell 11 feet into the center of the squared circle. That actually happened. Feet? What are feet? The operator cringed in confusion. Don't you mean meters? Ah, it's coming too fast. Bless Celestia! With a loud mechanical groan, the crane plowed through the top portion of the building's skeletal frame. Ponies dove off the top, screaming all the way towards the stone hard ground below. A sickening snap filled the air as the framework of the crane buckled. The wildly swinging cable lost its grip of the steel beams, and soon the sky above Ponyville was filled with a blizzard of murderous metal sailing violently towards sea level. Howling voices, blood-curdling cries, a series of thuds like cruel thunder, and the air filled with dust, ash, and the wails of the innocent. Ah! My legs! I can't feel my legs! Ah, you destined predator! Kill me! Please! Somebody! Anybody! Kill me! And the chokeslam sent mankind through the top of the cage where he fell 11 feet to the center of the square circle below. Cheerilee spoke slowly, guiltily. Cutie Mark Crusaders looked at her from her to the center of the Friendship Castle throne room. Their eyes lit up at their adult peers. Twilight Sparkle and Spike sat at the far edge of the friendship map. They exchanged blank expressions. Rarity, Applejack, Fluttershy, and Rainbow Dash were likewise vexed. Pinkie sat on the edge of her chair with sincere amazement. Because of course Pinkie would like wrestling. Rainbow Dash and Applejack, for that matter. After a long enough pause, Apple Bloom gently nudged her teacher. Clearing her throat, Cheerilee reopened her muzzle and let the words flow naturally. And when the camera zoomed in, the viewing audience could see that mankind's loose tooth was lodged to the inside of his nose. That actually happened. Fluttershy grimaced. Rarity fanned herself. And, Cheerilee winced as she spoke. Then Undertaker chokeslammed mankind onto a sea of thumbtacks that he had spread across the mat. And, he finished mankind off the tombstone piledriver. A gulp. 3 count, game, and match. What? Spike leaned forward. Does any of that mean? Cheerilee whimpered. I don't know. Rarity looked at Applejack. What, pray tell, is a mankind? Applejack winced right back. What the hey is a thumb? Who cares? Pinkie Pie leapt up onto the table. Woohoo! She clapped, clap, 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 clap. That was awesome. God dang. Dang it, Pinkie. She again clap, 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 clap. That was awesome. Pinkie, Twilight chided. She looked towards Ponyville's beloved schoolteacher. Cheerilee, did you run into any poison joke lately? No, I haven't. Cheerilee raised a forelimb, eyes forward apologetically. Honest. She was just teaching us world history, Sweetie Belle's voice cracked. Then, out of nowhere, she started rambling about this epic battle between unknown titans. Without warning, too. Apple Bloom nodded. And what's more, she didn't even remember a lick of it after it was said. We all had to put it back to her. Freaking wacky. Rainbow Dash craned her neck. Scoots, is this all true? I don't know, Scooter Lou yawned. I was sleeping on time. No, you were snickering. You snarked. Ah! Rainbow winked at the little Pegasus. There's hope for you yet, scamp. But you're aware of what you're saying now, Miss Cherry, Fluttershy asked. Yes and no. The mayor gazed down toward the floor, shuddering. After Crusaders brought it to my attention, I realized what I was saying, but I've since been powerless to stop it. So it does happen more than once, Spike asked. Yes, Sweetie Belle nodded, and from the sound of things, it's happening all over town. Fluttershy looked at Twilight. That would explain the sudden influx of confused and injured ponies flooding the emergency room in Ponyville Central. So, Twilight rubbed her chin and thought, there's an enchanted mantra inexplicably filling the mouths of Ponyville citizens. How's it spreading? Applejack adjusted her head as she looked at the others. You reckon it's like the ponypox, only gun-based. I don't know, Sweetie Belle shook her head, but if we don't do something about it fast, every pony will forget that in 1998, the Undertaker threw mankind off hell itself. Le gasp! Every pony gasped adorably and flung their wide eyes at Sweetie Belle. The unicorn in question chunk nervously between her Crusader familiars. And tears welled up in her eyes as she squeaked, plummeted 16 feet through the Spanish announcer's table. Oh, my sweet, gentle sister! Rarity, already weeping, leapt clean over the friendship map and scooped Sweetie Belle up in her loving forelimbs. What horrible tragedy has befallen you? I don't know. Sweetie Belle sobbed into Rarity's porcelain chest fluff, but Terry Funk crushed. Took until now to mention Terry Funk. Forgot about that part. But Terry Funk rushed in ringside and totally broke kayfabe on camera by checking on Mick Foley's while they began raising the cage with Mark Calloway on it. Somebody please do something! Rarity caterwauled. Yeesh, will you calm down, Rarity frowned, pointing. Just a bunch of nonsense ponies are being forced today. It's not like it's terminal blood cancer or nothing. Yes, Fluttershy nodded. Look at Miss Charity. She seems perfectly fine. That's right, Charity nodded and fidgeted. I mean, I'm still single, but so am I, Charity. So am I. So desperately want a girlfriend. I'm hamming it up right now, but I'm kind of not. Poor single ponies. You know what? Leave a comment in the comment section, just pulling a joke on single ponies. Something. I don't care what it is. It could be the hub. Something. It could be something related to the hub. But yeah. It's still involuntary behavior that's manifesting without warning, Twilight Sparkle said. And as far as I'm concerned, that's still a magical problem that must be addressed. But who's responsible? Fluttershy asked. I got an even better question, she shrugged. What's Undertaker? Spike, Twilight sighed. An Undertaker is a pony who takes care of the proper ceremonial treatment, presentation, and subsequent burial of the dead. I told you I was planning to lecture you on the nature of mortality versus immortality, but not while our 5 friends are present. Yeah, Miss Immortal. No, I mean, I know all that, Spike frowned, but the mantra refers to Undertaker like it's a proper noun. Same with this Mankind Titan and the Undertaker is battling. So, could Undertaker and Mankind be some sort of prophetic deities with powers that crush our modern understanding? Undertaker, maybe. With all the stuff he's been through. In, let's see, for 30 years he's been wrestling. He's done some stupid shit. Let's see, what's the stupidest thing he's done? Oh yes, buckle up, Stephanie. I couldn't resist. Nah, Starlight Glimmer inexplicably trotted through the throne room, sipping from a levitating mug coffee. Just a really epic PPV, classic stuff. Every pony. She winked across the room in mid-stride. Hey, Spike, we still on for Saturday? Starlight? Twilight guessed the alicorn's horn burned brighter than the sun as she swiftly floated the mail in question toward the table. Whoa! Flailing, Starlight dropped her mug. She huffed, footing with angrily folded forelimbs beside the Princess of Friendship. Twilight, dear, what have I told you about the tugging? What did you just say? Twilight's eyes blinked hard. Just now? What? Starlight Glimmer shrugged. The Undertaker versus Mankind. King of the Ring 98? It's an epic pay-per-view. Pinky hopped onto the table, glaring Starlight down. Maybe you're an epic pay-per-view. That never changed, Pinky. A blue hoop shoved her off again. Oh! Rainbow flew between her friends and the floating Starlight. Look, Starlight, level with us. You actually know what this nonsense is about? Kind of? Starlight picked the mug off the floor with a telekinesis and sad-faced at its empty contents. Last time I visited Sunset Shimmer, she took me to a place where they were selling records of a wrestling match at half price. It was some sort of special religious shrine in that world. FYE! FYE. The religion of the hipster. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Applejack did a double take. A wrestling match? That's right, Starlight nodded. Mankind and Undertaker, not their actual names, but they're really big humans in spandex who used to wage gladiatorial combat in an outdated army named the World Wrestling Federation. That became World Wrestling Entertainment when the World Wildlife Fund sued Vince McMahon's ass off. Few bunches of memes of a panda just having a chair ready to like swing at stuff everywhere. When memes didn't exist, I think that's like one of the earliest memes ever. I think. I don't know. I don't know much about internet culture, so take my words with a grain of salt. Or something, I don't know. All I remember is that there was a lot of blood involved, and shouting. Look fun. Sunset, Rainbow, and I had a blast watching it on the big screen plasma portal thingy. She lit Twilight puppy dog eyes. Can I stop floating now, please? Twilight set Starlight down before trotting toward her. Are you trying to tell us that this monster is related to a blood sport in Sunset Shimmer's dimension? It's scripted. Alright? It's scripted. Let's lay that on the table. To all those people, there's probably going to be one person in the comments that say wrestling's fake. No, it's scripted. It's fake and real. It's both. At the same time, it's neither. I couldn't resist the X-Files theme. Mantra? What mantra? Starlight leaned back and felt her mane. Look, I know we defeated like every existing monster in all of Equestria, but that doesn't mean we gotta look for crises when crises don't exist. Honestly, Twilight. You should know by now that in 1998, The Undertaker threw Mankind off Hell in a Cell and plummeted 16 feet through the Spanish announcer's table. Nabi. Starlight's eyes crossed. Oh, that was weird. What did you bring back with you? A sobbing Rarity hugged Sweetie so close that she nearly asphyxiated. What did you bring back with you? What am I fighting for? I don't know where that came from. Rarity, calm down, land's sakes. Applejack sighed. Well, at least we know we got a source for the gobbledygook. How does that help us? Spike shrugged. Sure, we know the what behind the mantra, but not the why. I don't see what all the big kerfuffle's about, Starlight said with a shrug. Just think of it as some really silly hiccups. I don't see why it has to impact our lives or drop Mankind through the top of the cage so he fell 11 feet down to the center of the square circle. The mayor blinked hard and clenched her teeth. I really needed that coffee, Twilight. The Alicorn was busy pacing at that point. Maybe if there was a muzzle spell, or a synaptic mana overload that could trip a verbal tick. Rainbow face hoofed. This could take hours to conjure up. Well, thankfully, we have our entire afternoon free. No, actually, Spike pointed. Tonight you're meeting with the ambassador from Griffinstone. Right. Toilet cleared her throat. Well, tomorrow morning we'll get right on finding the cure for this mystery Spike twiddled his claws. Student field trip to the candy factory. Wednesday! On Wednesday, we'll meet up with Sakura and she can cook up a parent-teacher meeting with Ember. Spike counted off a suit. Thursday, Hippogriff Awareness Seminar. Friday, the Hoop Club game for Illumini. Yeesh, Pinkie Pie sat up. shaking her mean fluff ear. Whose idea was it to start this annoying school? You are! I think. Fluttershy looked at Spike. What about Saturday? Saturday, Starlight and our Spike froze. That is, Starlight's going to need help with. He froze even harder. A shift. Squirm. On Saturday, I'll be shedding my skills. Sorry. Yes. Starlight slipped from the empty mug, hiding rosy cheeks. He will be. Ah! Rainbow Dash slumped back in the chair. Then how and when are we going to deal with the stupid problem? I mean, I'll be too busy enough with it flying with the Wonderbolts to worry about how the Undertaker chokeslammed Mankind onto a sea of thumbtacks before finishing him with a tombstone pile driver. Her ruby eyes crossed at the end of that. Toilet took a long, thoughtful look at Cheerilee. Cheerilee blinked back. Twilight rubbed her chin. She thought. She squinted. The prince? A wave of the princesses? The princesses? The princess. Whoa! Clap, clap, clap of the princesses. Oh, this is gonna be bad. I remember this part. It's gonna be bad. Fabulous! Proper and regal. Princess Celestia marched across the lengths of the opulent royal bedchamber. My Little Pony, she addressed the country town schoolteacher sitting patiently on the edge of the plush bed. You have no idea how much it pleases me that my good and faithful student has chosen to show faith in in the magical talents of my sister and I. She smiled down at Cheerilee while her mane danced splendidly in a magic breeze. In this day and age, after so many heroics done bravely by the element bearers, I almost thought her usefulness was at an end. Maybe if you actually did stuff. Yeah, you're not on my bet. Cheerilee attempted to curtsy from where she was at. Far from it, Your Highness. In fact, if you can solve this paralytic mantra, Princess Twilight is almost certain that it will keep ponies from forgetting that in 1998, the Undertaker threw Mankind off Hell in a Cell, and he plummeted 16 feet through the Spanish announcer's table. Cheerilee gritted her teeth and stepped menacingly towards the gold-tinted walls of the palace room. Ooh, I'm so peeved. Language, My Little Pony. Cheerilee's coat turned even redder. Sorry, Your Majesty. A midnight blue figure marched out from the shadows. It is far worse than I thought, dear sister, Luna said gravely. If we do not act soon, all of Equestria's mouths will be full of professional wrestling. Yeah, it's Luna that knows this. Not Celestia. Luna. Celestia nodded, eyes steely and determined. It will be worse than the age of Grogar. Then let us make haste! Luna approached the mirror on the bed. Dearest friend, I shall induce you into a deep sleep. From there, I shall penetrate your dreams while my sister erects a magical barrier around the entire room. Through deep meditation and the melding of our minds, I shall endeavor to find the root of this invasive magic and dislodge it from your consciousness. I understand. Then you agree to these procedures. Absolutely, Your Highness. Cheerilee nodded. Just one thing. Sheepish smile, and she pointed with a tender hoof. If you accidentally stumbled upon any compromising fantasies about Big Macintosh and a pool full of applesauce. Okay, I would kindly ask you, sleep! Luna slapped Cheerilee's forehead. Thump! Cheerilee fell back on the breastbed. Are you ready to begin? Luna asked. Celestia's eyes were already glowing. Indeed. She telekinetically pulled the window blind shut, darkening the room as she conjured a translucent barrier around the room. Scene. Proceed with the brain penetration, sister. Affirmative. Luna floated cross-legged beside Celestia as a stream of magic connected between their small and large craniums. Celestia afforded a momentary sigh, and perhaps one of these days could we maybe think about altering the vocabulary of how you choose to describe your I am deeply penetrating her soft powerful mind. This is far away the best part of the story. How many short skirts, how many double entronics are you gonna make Luna say in this story? Yes! Luna it's gonna take a bit. Oh, I laughed so hard in this part. And this is actually gonna take a bit reading it. I am deeply penetrating her soft, pliable mind, Luna droned. Her eyes glowed hot as the energy beams between her and Cheerilee Cheerily... What? Cheerily SS intensified, presently plowing through the fertile fields of her subconscious. Celestia afforded a momentary sigh. Oh, wait, no, I skipped. Oh, wait, wrong sentence. Celestia's muzzle twisted, hardened, and relaxed. Acknowledge, dear sister, intimidating my subconscious intellect across her automatic functions in order to allow access to her core. Luna's teeth gritted as she sweated, searching for anomalous information. Searching. Searching. Celestia's glowing eyes narrowed. Have you found the source of the mantra yet? Negative. Have you found anything yet? Applesauce. Concentrate, sister. Wait. Luna's ears perked up in mild meditation. I have found something. Celestia tilted her head in her sister's direction. Yes, what is it? A most invasive anomaly indeed. Can you root it out? Searching. Is it too much for you to bear on your own? Searching. Luna! Luna? No response. The Moon Princess simply floated in place beside Charity's bed, eyes bright and ears alert. Celestia stepped toward her. Sister, speak to me. Have you found the source of the magical curse? I have found... Yes. Luna sweated, found... Yes? Luna's mouth opened wide, then wider, then bellowed with the force of 100 million collapsing stars. Fuck off! The room shook. The shield buckled. Celestia stumbled backwards, blood trickling from her ear canals. Of course! It was Jim Ross all along! I'm sorry. Oh, this is gonna be wild. Fuck off! They killed him! The barrier dissolved completely. The floorboards flew off their foundation. Windows shattered. The entire eastern wall of the palace exploded into a million chunks of shrapnel, flying toward the horizon and carrying Celestia's flailing body with them. Yes! Jim Ross's voice is more powerful than the sun. Luna! The monarch of Equestria screamed in terror, becoming a glittery blip against the wild blue younger. God is my witness! Luna's head spun like a tank turret. Her mouth launched sonic volley after sonic volley into the stratosphere, destroying any solid portion of Canterlot lying in the way. The air was filled with debris and noise as the thundering voice split the heavens. It's been broken in half! From all the corners of the crumbling city, armored guards flew in, bright-eyed and equipped with shields and spears. Your Majesty, what? Luna's glowing eyes snapped to meet them, along with her gaping mouth. Oh God! The guards screamed as their bodies were sent flying every which way. Zeppelin swooped in, cannons armed and targeting the upper palace floor. My God! Luna shouted. The Zeppelin split in two, falling toward streets filled with flames and screaming citizens, galloping every which way. Like a mare possessed, Luna stormed out of the rubble-strewn palace, shouting toward the fleeing equine and sending more buildings crumbling. Well, sorry when I stopped the day on match! The earth shook. Shadow waves whirled up and down the edges of the Counterlot Mountains, and as the sky above turned blood red, Carolee rolled over in bed, nuzzling soft covers as a drunken smile crossed her muzzle. Dive on in, Big Mac. The sauce is fine. Ambulance noises, cackling flames, crying infant. The center of Canterlot was a war zone. Twilight Spike and their friends shook in the center of the massacred capital. Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie gawked at the carnage with gaping expressions. Meredith leaned in, trembling, into Applejack, while the farm mare covered her muzzle with a hat to dam the vomit. Rainbow-Dash winced, flapping her wings and swiftly joining the rest of the Wonderbolts in dragging bodies from the rubble. Pacing back and forth, Twilight Sparkle paused to pick up the tattered remains of a family photo from the ruins of the apartment building. She heard a sobbing voice from nearby. Deadpan, the alicorn shuffled over and stood above a huddled guard pony. Tell me what happened here, soldier. It was awful. Stallion clutched his helmet to keep from seeing the red-tinted sky full of flickering ash and smoke. Princess Luna, she just started bellowing thunder out of nowhere, and I tried to help her, but his muzzle twisted sickly. So many entrails. I couldn't climb through them all. Oh, goodness. My friends. All my dear beloved friends. Oh, goodness. He wept openly. Twilight looked at Spike. Spike bit his lip, fidgeting openly. After a sigh, the Princess of Friendship reached down and patted his soldier's withers reassuringly. There, there. We all know that you did your best. I know you did. I know that, Your Highness. The soldier sniffed and snuffed. I just wanted to make sure. Yes, make sure of what? That nobody forgets in 1998. The Undertaker threw mankind off Hell in a Cell, and he plummeted 16 feet through an announcer's table. Upon finishing that, the soldier's eyes crossed. He collapsed like a howling infant across the rubble, squeezing his helmet until it nearly crushed his own skull. Ah! I can't get it out of my head! I can't get it out of my head! Mommy, come to the chopper! Fluttershy and Pinky hung their heads. Sorry, again, couldn't resist. Applejack and Rarity looked at the random families hobbling around, covered in ash and blood. Twilight Sparkle stood above the hysterical soldier. She took one breath of the smoky air, then a second. Her wings spread. It'll wear off. She motioned to Spike, and the two took to the air. Back to school. Years later, in a tacky honeymoon suite. Oof. Bonbon fell back onto a gigantic heart-shaped bed with a thickly velvet scarlet upholstery. She curled her forelimbs to her chest like the blushing bride she was. Ah, what are you going to do on the bed? Lyra curled up until she was practically hovering above her lover. Pick a number. Any number. Oh, Lyra. Bonbon thrust her head down like a cobra and began nibbling all around Bonbon's neck and muzzle. Oh, Lyra. Bonbon cooed, her palpitations slightly increasing exponentially. I waited so long for this. We abstained for so long for this moment. I know, my love. Lyra kissed, kissed, kissed all around her face and ears, but no more weeding. You're mine now. All mine. Ooh, have your way with me. Talk dirty to me. Bonbon? Lyra growled and nibbled. Yes. My dearest Bonbon. Lyra huffed and licked and nuzzled. Yes. Lyra looked her over in the eyes. She smiled. She spoke above the saxophone music wafting gently through the record player on the far end of the suite. Don't you ever forget that in 1998, The Undertaker threw mankind off Hell in a Cell, and he plummeted 16 feet through the Spanish announcer's table. Bonbon gazed back at her gorgeous wife's face. I want a divorce. What a way to end this glorious shitpost. How about this? I completely forgot this was here. Jim Ross's news. I don't want to get copyrighted by WWF. So that is this story. Now, I do want to give context on this reference because you probably don't know what's going on. Like I said, it directly goes into whether or not what rating you are. Like, okay, this story is obviously a shitpost. Like from the off, you're not supposed to take this story seriously at all whatsoever. If you do, then congratulations, you played yourself. If you don't get the reference, like this is a story that kind of very heavily relies on you knowing the reference that is being talked about, that being WWE or in 1998 WWF, whichever you know it as. If you don't know the reference, I would actually rate this a 2 out of 10 because it was actually hilarious, but it relied so heavily on the actual reference itself that I can't give it any higher than a 2 because it's just so intrinsically tied into the actual reference that if you don't know the reference, then pretty much the entire story is not going to make sense. However, if you do know the reference, like myself, because I actually am a fan of wrestling, this is a 5 out of 5. Like, bar none. So let's get into the actual reference. So in 1998, WWF, or Vince McMahon, was at the Monday Night Wars against World Championship Wrestling, or WCW, owned by Ted Turner. at this point, Mankind and Undertaker were feuding, I believe, at this time. I don't know if it's before or after this happened. The Undertaker was heel, and he was about to start the Ministry of Darkness. Like I said, that's pretty much the only part of this whole thing. I don't remember well if he actually started the Ministry of Darkness before this match or after this match. I don't remember that. And Mankind, who was a face. Face is good guys, heels is bad guys. So Undertaker and Mankind, they knew that they were able to take a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. Mankind's whole gimmick was he was a sadist who was capable of taking extreme amounts of damage and able to dish it back in return. And Undertaker's gimmick was he was basically undead, and thus he could take a lot of damage and deal it just as much. But with Undertaker, it was more that in storyline, it was more he was supernatural, and so it was less more doing any damage and more just keeping him down long enough to do a 3 count than outright beating crap at him. While Foley's gimmick was just he was just a sadist, and so they realized that the only match that would be able to do enough damage to get them out of the business, at least for a little bit, was Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell was just like this 20-foot, like this. I guess at this point, I believe the Hell Cell was actually raised higher in later years, and this one was like 15, 16, 17 feet high, as the only match that they could contain, the brawl and all the damage they can. So the match starts, like the cage is lowered, Undertaker's in the ring. And Mick Foley, he goes to the cage, but instead of going into the cage and into the ring, he actually climbs up the cage. The Undertaker actually follows him, climbs up the cage. Like, let me actually show a GIF. I may actually get in trouble for this, but this is actually kind of important. Okay, so here's the actual. This is a GIF. Like I said, this actually happened. This whole reference actually happened. This is the first fall. They basically brawl for a little bit, and this fall was actually planned. This fall was planned by Mick Foley. He wanted something memorable. He wanted something memorable with the Hell in a Cell, so he planned this spot specifically. And he told Taker just throw it out. They fixed the finish announce table so that way it has, I think, they redesigned it just for this match so that way it would collapse easier and be able to keep Foley's body safe so that way he doesn't get too banged up. And I think I heard once or twice of someone that they actually had like a crash mat underneath so that way try and help him out as much as possible. Terry Funk comes out of the ring, comes out from backstage, breaking kayfabe. Kayfabe is like the world of wrestling itself. Like anything that happens in the wrestling league, that's like if they hate each other, then that's kayfabe. Like backstage, they can be friends with each other. For a thing, kayfabe is actually really hard to describe because it's one of those things that it would just take too long to actually describe fully. But anyway, Terry Funk, EMTs, they come to the ring. They go check on Mick Foley. Terry Funk breaks kayfabe. Like he breaks characters. Like Terry Funk at this point was a kind of enemy of Mick Foley. Like he isn't a full enemy, but he's like, I just they hated each other. But then he showed that Terry Funk was friends with Mankind. Didn't know that was planned, so he helps. And he glares at the Undertaker, and Taker's glaring down at all of them. Like he's still maintaining kayfabe and stuff like that. So they put him up. The EMTs put Foley on a stretcher. They start carrying him out, but Foley retains consciousness. He actually gets himself out of the stretcher and starts climbing again. And so he comes back from where they brawl again, and Taker he grabs Mick Foley and he chokes him again in the middle. That was supposed to happen, but what actually happened, and this was unplanned. And when Mick Foley he also Foley also grabbed the chair. He grabbed the steel chair. He's attacking Taker. And so what happened was when Taker chokeslammed Foley on the top of the cell, something happened that caused the top of the cell to become unhinged. No one really knows outside of maybe Taker and whoever and the people who were working on the cell, but we don't really know for sure. The most common ones are the slam actually jostled the connectors out of place, and they just opened, or the connectors holding up this particular panel in place snapped under the weight, and so they broke. But what happened was when Taker slammed him the second time, the panel in the middle of the cell opened and he fell, and both Taker and Mick Foley realized that if it wasn't for the steel chair kind of slightly saving his fall, because he fell with the steel chair, and the steel chair actually hit him in the face, dislodged the tooth, actually got stuck up his nose, and he fell. And after that, they wrestled for a little bit. The Undertaker, the tomb, another chokeslam on top of the thumbtacks, and of course, tombstone pile driver. That all actually happened. Everything except for that second chokeslam was planned. But they had to rush the match because after the second chokeslam, Mick Foley was legitimately injured at that point. A notable thing that a lot of people didn't realize at the time was that Undertaker actually broke character. But he kind of did it because of how his facial looked. He kind of looked like he was trying to not make it obvious that he was breaking kayfabe. It kind of was. Just look up, just watch the match online. You'll probably find it somewhere online. At least the chokeslam parts of it. I don't know where you're gonna be able to find it on YouTube, but chances are someone has it uploaded somewhere. But it became a really defining moment, not only in the Attitude Era, but also in wrestling in general. If you didn't know that reference or why they were saying what happened, then you wouldn't get the reference. But I'm a wrestling fan. Like I said, Chris Jericho for life. Chris Jericho's the greatest. Then you can't, if you don't get what this reference is, or you don't know what happened in this match, then you're not gonna get the story. You're not. But if you do, then not only are you gonna get the jokes, you're also gonna really like the jokes, especially at the end, where Luna's speaking in Jim Ross's voice, because he was doing commentary during the match, and he was like, "By God, by God, by God," and he was legitimately worried. A thing with Jim Ross was, usually when it came to matches, he's always told people to don't tell me who's gonna win this match. Don't spoil anything that's gonna happen. He always does it off the cuff, and it's very natural. Hence why Jim Ross is held to such a high degree of respect, because unlike someone like Michael Cole, who's very, very stiff and manufactured, despite the fact he's been doing announcing for 20 years at this point, he hasn't really gotten any respect because he just seems so unnatural 9 times out of 10. While with Jim Ross, I think he's still avoiding doing any spoilers and stuff like that. So I do like this story. I think the only reason why I like the story is because I knew the reference and I got behind it. If I didn't, this would be the opposite. I would actually be trashing it a lot. It's good pacing. The jokes are really well done, especially the part with Luna. I really love the whole Luna turning into Jim Ross. That was hilarious. The fact that you treated all this as serious business, and Starlight's oh, it was a wrestling match. 5 out of 5. But if you don't get but again, the story kind of relied so heavily on the reference that it wouldn't be enjoyable if you didn't get it. So that is my reading and I guess review on this big story name. It's been Dark Symphony 777 and cut.